What kind of fool am I? What do I know of life? Why can't I cast away this mask of clay and live my life? Why can't I fall in love till I don't give a damn? And maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am.
Welcome everyone to Expressions of Music, brought to you by Rhythms LLC. Today we have the amazing, the gracious, the humble Archbishop Jonathan Drayton. I'm just kidding. Jonathan, how about you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Well, by no means at all ever not an archbishop. But my name is Jonathan Drayton. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Bayonne, New Jersey. Lived there all my life. I am a musical theater performer. Started out singing, went out also dancing, piano, and everything. And I'm an NJCU alumni, and yeah, I'm just out here trying to make it in these streets.
Trying to make it in these streets. I love it. You mentioned that you are a musical theater performer.
Yes.
Why did you want to major in musical theater?
So when I was probably about 15 years old. I was a sophomore in Bayonne High School, and I saw a production of Anything Goes at that school, and that inspired me so much to be a part of it. I was always encouraged to by my parents to do it because they saw it in me before I saw it in me, and so so I saw that production and I said, you know what, I have to be on that stage, the next production. And the next production was it was All Shook Up. And so I auditioned, got into that show, and it was just, I just felt like that's where I needed to be. And at first I didn't know that colleges even offered this as a course of study. But then when I found that out, I said, I am definitely majoring in this. This is what I want to do. And so, yeah, that's why. Because I just knew that theater was just something that I love to do. I love to entertain people.
That's awesome. I also know that you are a unapologetic Christian.
Amen.
You love the Lord. So how do you think you can speak / show the gospel through being, for example, on Broadway?
Whew. It can be hard, but not at the same time. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of Christians in the theater world. Whether they are open about it or not, I choose to be pretty open about it. So one way that I do it, it's just me. I love to invite people to church. And so I know that, and especially with a group like musical theater or just musicians in general, music drives people to places. So, I just invite them to church. I say, hey, come to church, and sometimes, they end up giving their lives to the Lord,
Amen.
And then they go on and they have their own Christian journey. And so that's one way that I do it. Also, if people do come up and ask me, hey, Jonathan, what do you think about this? Or, I'm thinking about, becoming a Christian. I'm thinking about giving my life to God. What do you think about this? And I always, give them, the story, the gospel of Jesus Christ. I will refer them to, the Bible. I will refer them to even just people that are more knowledgeable in it than I am. And that's, what I do.
It's very bold. I know, especially nowadays, it's really hard being a Christian, period.
Yes.
So being Christian in a more secular setting can be very difficult and has its challenges.
Right.
And I know that up front. So we know you've been a Christian all of your life. We know that. What denomination were you, if more than one?
Okay. So,
and how are they different?
Okay, yeah. So, my family, is Baptist, or my grandparents, they are, from the Baptist church, the missionary Baptist church. A lot of them are from the South, and they moved up here to New Jersey. My great grandfather started a missionary Baptist church down in Monroe Township, New Jersey. And that's where a lot of my family, they are down there. But my mother, she took us to a grand old apostolic Pentecostal church. Before I get to that, right now I go to a non-denominational church, which is the church that I go to is Agape Family Worship Center in Norway, and it's a non-denominational church. But most people, it has that Pentecostal feel to it, and I'm going to get to the difference between that. Baptist, I can't necessarily give you, and that's just on me, I can't necessarily give you the biblical differences, but I can give you some of like what you actually see. Baptist people seem to be more reserved in their worship. They're more knowledgeable. They're not as what they may say, emotional. There's a stereotype that, in the Baptist church that, if you even raise your hand, the ushers will take you and carry you out of the sanctuary. And I've actually seen that.
We would get kicked out of that.
Yes.
Okay.
The apostolic church that I grew up in, it was the name of the church is Evangelical Gospel Tabernacle under the leadership of Bishop Dr. Thomas P. Robinson. I love my old pastor. He really groomed me to being who I am today. Apostolic Pentecostal churches, they believe in the theology of oneness, or Jesus only. I don't want to get too much into that because that's a whole lot. And the church that I'm at now, is a non-denominational church, but they are, I guess you can call it like a neo-Pentecostal church, because they do believe in the book of Acts 2, where speaking in other tongues and being filled with the Holy Ghost. And that's also what my former church believed in too, being filled with the Holy Ghost, and speaking of other tongues. And yeah, that's really the difference between it.
Okay, awesome. So we personally know that you are a great, amazing choir director. I've been under your leadership. Kingdom Sound has been under your leadership. And you really put your all into it. So where do you think that love and that just boldness, really, because it takes a bold person to be able to do so, where did that come from? And you being able to even lead a choir, small choir, you've done it at, your home church in Bayonne, you've done it for Kingdom Sound, you've done it at other levels, you've done it for Felician College,
yes.
Where you were leading the gospel choir. So how did that love, or how did that start?
Wow.
We will be showing the clip of you in that leadership role.
So, I guess I fell in love with it at my home church. I said it's Evangelical Gospel Tabernacle for sure. I'm just gonna say EGT. I fell in love with it, I guess, there, because at my old church we had a choir for every age group. We had the babies had a choir, the children had a choir, the teenagers, the adults, and then there was a mass choir. And choir music was just a thing that I grew up with in my old church. And I really honestly can't formulate a real answer, but I love breaking down music and being able to just direct a choir and give choir cues and have them hold out long notes and taking it up an extra key. We know about you trying to hold us down on notes, okay? We know that, okay? I love, taking it up an extra key. It was just something that I love to do. And then being that I went to school for music, it helped me even more to be able to break down harmonies and really actually listen and being able to teach parts to people, because I do not by any means consider myself a teacher. I love directing the choir, but I do not like teaching the music. But yes, I do. But yeah, I fell in love with it when I was a younger kid. There's this one lady. Her name is why can't I think of her name? Her name is Sister Bertha. We just say Sister Bertha. Bertha Puritan, I believe is her last name, or Bertha Peebles, I believe is her last name. And she was the director at my old church. And she inspired me and mentored me. She's the one who even got me started into being a choir director when I was like 14 years old. And the first song that I ever directed was the song called Enter His Gates by Timothy Wright. And and from then on, I was 14. I was directing when she was still there, and then when she went on, I became one of the assistant directors. And then I never thought I would ever become the head choir director at my old church, because my old church had many capable people, so many capable people of doing that job. And then it had landed on me, and I was doing that for a few years before I went to college, and I had to give up that position. And I enjoyed my time doing it, and I miss doing it, and I wish I could do it again. I would definitely love doing it again.
All right, Rhythms family, we promised you a clip of Jonathan leading, and here it is.
Minds are stayed on thee. I will keep you in perfect peace.
Welcome back, everybody. That was Jonathan Drayton singing at Agape Family Worship Center, leading the choir into worship, which was amazing, Jonathan. That was really good. So now my question to you is, what's your favorite part of leading a choir? I know that you were just singing a song just now, but we know that you're full of just talent, a gift, not even talent, so really a gift.
Thank you.
From God to be able to even lead a choir, a small choir. So what's your favorite part about it?
One of my favorite parts about it, I love people and I love interacting with people, and I love music, and so I just love putting stuff together. One thing I love to do is I kind of like mashing songs together and whatnot, and and just seeing how they work, and like I just love producing sound, and I just love the interaction between just the director and the choir people, and it's just a really fun. It's fun, and it's very it's, I guess you could, in a way, therapeutic, and I just love it. I love it. I miss it because now we're in this pandemic, but once choirs are able to,
but that's all right, because I know when we're on the phone or when we're present, if I'm feeling searched all over,
right,
couldn't find nobody. Come on, lead it.
I looked high and low, still couldn't find nobody. Nobody greater.
Nobody greater. Hey,
nobody greater.
Lead it. Come on, Jonathan.
Nobody greater than you.
Come on, and lead us.
Your name is above all names. You're worthy of all our praise.
Worthy of all our praise.
Oh, mighty are the works of your hand. Mighty are of your hands. Mighty are the works of your hands.
Mighty are the works of your
hands.
Don't
get me started. Don't get me started.
I know you mentioned your love of music, and you obviously love it to the point where you made it your career.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it hard being a musical theater performer and being a Christian?
Oh yes, it is. I can go on for days about how hard it is because now, me personally, I've never really had to compromise drastically at all.
That's good.
But being in a world where everybody just I don't want to get too controversial, but being in a world where people are not being the minority, I guess I could say, being the only Christian around a bunch of people who are not saved can be hard at times because, especially when it's like a party environment. First of all, when I wasn't saved, because I wasn't saved all my life, when I wasn't saved, I was a party person. Like, I love to be in the crowd. Now, I wasn't much of like a drinker or a smoker and whatnot, but I loved dancing. And where I come from, the holiness church that I come from, dancing is your highway ticket to hell. If you weren't dancing for Jesus, you was going to hell. Everything put you in hell, my old church. But it can be hard because even in the theater, especially if there are scenes that you have to do where kind of like sexual, scenes, or scenes where you may have to use profanity, and scenes where you may have to drink or smoke or whatever. But although that stuff you're not really drinking alcohol, but some theaters they may actually do it. But it can be hard sometimes. But all I can just say is that you have to keep your eyes on God. You have to pray and seek God daily when you are in the theater world, and you have to just make sure you hear a clear answer from God before you step foot in that audition room, before you accept a job, because you just never know where you're gonna get yourself, what you're gonna get yourself into. And you have to be, I know everyone's at different levels, but you have to be strong in your faith. Read your word, get into a space of worship when you can, when you're not in rehearsals. And just don't be afraid to be a light, and you don't be afraid, and don't compromise. That's what really I can just say about that.
Well, you answered my question. What advice would you give to someone trying to combine their degree in musical theater and being a Christian? And I think you said it: set your eyes on God,
right? And
just make sure that you have that time between rehearsals and things, just
right.
to be able to regroup, readjust, and
exactly.
just pray. And I
right.
think that was amazing.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to those struggling with trying to do both? Still remain unapologetically Christian,
right.
but also follow their dream of being a musical theater,
right.
in a secular environment.
This may kind of not be related to the question, but I want to say to musical theater students, especially being in this day and age where the theaters are closed right now, and they're going to be closed for a while. I'm actually not even supposed to be here right now. I'm actually supposed to be away at I'm supposed to actually be away right now doing a show called Forever Plaid. A lot of theater gigs are canceled. So what I would suggest before you get into a university where you want to major into musical theater, ask those questions to the coordinator of the musical theater program. What can you do when theater is not your portion. Theater is not you're not making those jobs right at the moment, you know, because right now, like I said, theaters are closed. Whether you're on Broadway, whether you are at the Met Opera House, everyone is jobless right now on Broadway. You went from making $100,000 to now making $0. You know, and so I mean $100,000 a year, or a weekly check on Broadway is maybe around $2,000 a week, and now you're not making that. So I would suggest that if you are going to go into this field, you need to find other means of income. You need to find other talents. If you have other talents, even if it's talents related to theater, like if you're singing, you can expound on that, become a private teacher. If you're gonna go to school and go to a musical theater program at a university, take your music theory classes seriously. So and make sure you study and practice so that you can build your craft and be able to you can be a vocal teacher. You can, if you're a strong dancer, you can be a dance teacher. You can do other things within that same avenue, if you know what I'm saying. If you like to make clothing, expound on that, start a clothing brand. If you can sew, if you can cut hair. I have many friends that I went to school with that are able to do other things. I have a friend that does a photo booth company, and he makes quite a pretty penny, for doing that. I would just say make sure you have other means of income when you graduate. You should not graduate from a 4-year college of doing musical theater where first you are not even guaranteed a job once you leave. You should not leave not knowing where you want to go, not knowing how you're going to make money. Make sure you ask your professor, what can you do? How can you better yourself? How can you better your brand, outside of theater? Some people I know, they don't necessarily want to be on stage. They want to be behind stage. They want to do theater. They want to just do the technical part. They want to do lighting. They want to do costume design. They want to do makeup and all of that stuff. If you're good at that too, do that as well, because that's other means of income. And, see if you can even get an internship on doing that type of stuff. Do not be afraid to ask your director questions. Ask them. You are paying all of that money. You should get the full experience of being a theater major at school. Now, being a Christian in the musical theater world, I can just tell you Matthew 6:33. You seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all of those things will be added unto you. Make sure you are praying to God. Make sure you are asking God daily what you need to do, and just always remember that God is going to provide for you too when you are in that theater world, because it's rough. Going to a theater company, going to an audition where there's 600 people waiting outside at 4:00 in the morning in New York City. It can be intimidating to you. So just make sure I can't stress enough, make sure you are praying to God and asking God daily to order your steps and to guide your steps, and that's really what I can say about that.
That was really good advice, Jonathan.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have you. Thank you guys for watching. This was Jonathan Drayton. This was episode 3, and it's only going to get better at episode 4, so thank you.
Thank you. Bye.